everyone! Today's video is going to be about how to transfer into Clemson. I'm going to give you some requirements from the Clemson website as well as share an experience of my friend who came in as a transfer student. So first, let's talk about the details on transferring to Clemson. You need at least 2.0 as your GPA, but it's strongly recommended to at least have a 3. That's because a lot of the majors here at Clemson are really competitive, such as the health sciences, the engineering, the nursing, the architecture, and many more majors. They're all super competitive, so it's highly recommended to get the best GPA in order to get into Clemson. You also need to bring in an official transcript to Clemson, not the unofficial ones. It has to be official in order to be considered eligible as a transfer student to Clemson. You don't need to send in your SAT or ACT scores as long as you have 30 or more credit hours from your other college institution. And lastly, you don't need a letter of recommendation or need to write an essay at all. Clemson also strongly endorses the AP programs, so if you took AP classes in high school and got scores of 3, 4s, and 5s, then you're going to be able to use that as transfer credit into Clemson. The deadline to be considered for the fall semester is July 1st, whereas the deadline to be considered for the spring semester is December 1st. Now let's get into experience my friend had as a transfer student into Clemson. So pretty much my friend Cameron Roth decided to share her story, and basically what she shared about is her situation, her housing, what she expected or was afraid of, and also her orientation experience. So first, the situation. So initially, she was accepted to Clemson in May 2019, just like the rest of the other students, but she was offered to enter as a student in the summer program. However, it wasn't convenient for her as she lived in the north, so she was eventually offered January admissions because they wanted to keep their fall classes smaller. Then her official letters of acceptance were sent to her on November, and that's when she also signed up for things like housing and dining meal plans. So, to spend her fall semester, she stayed in a local college in her area and took some gen eds. It is so important to be able to be in contact with a Clemson advisor if you do plan on moving to Clemson the next semester. That way, you can make sure that the credits you're taking now at your own college in the local area is able to be transferred into Clemson's system so you can get the credit you worked for. I'm going to drop a link in the description, and that will basically be a link that shows what classes from different institutions would be able to transfer to Clemson and that have transferred to Clemson in the past. Definitely feel free to check it out and try to see if the classes you're taking in your institution has been able to be transferred to Clemson in the past. So, Cameron also talked about her biggest concern coming into Clemson as a transfer student. Clemson is a pretty big school, and she thought that a lot of people would have already made their friend groups and established their cliques while during their freshman year fall semester. So one of the biggest concerns that Cameron had was that she was worried that she couldn't make friends right away. She was worried that people have already established their friend groups and their cliques, so she felt like it would be harder to find friends when she's transferring to Clemson during her second semester of freshman year. However, when she came here, she had a great experience. She said that everyone was super warm and welcoming and that she found friends instantly. Cameron also shared her experience for her orientation. For transfer students, it's typically a one-day experience where both the parents and students are involved. Basically, you meet with your advisor and talk through your schedule and eventually register for your classes. Typically, it is pretty stressful as everyone's competing for a time slot for the class they want, but eventually it all works out. Athletes are also able to transfer into Clemson as well. They are able to practice with a sports team that they're interested in as their recruitment process. As for housing, Cameron really prioritized where she wanted to live. She really wanted to be in Douthat Hills, which is where she ended up being, and Douthat Hills is one of the new residence areas in Clemson. I was also in her building too. As a transfer student, you're not going to know who you're going to room with, and you're most likely going to be assigned randomly based on space. So since Cameron wanted to be in Douthat, she was assigned to room with a girl who lived there who had space in her room for another person. They eventually became really good friends, so she got really lucky with that. Surprisingly, Clemson doesn't actually notify your roommate that you're going to move in with them. So Cameron had to do it herself. She had to take the initiative to email the roommate and introduce herself and give her a heads up, because apparently Clemson doesn't do that. Another housing experience that Cameron talked about also included finding an apartment to live in for the next semester. Upperclassmen are able to live in apartments either on campus or off campus. Since she came in as a transfer student and people were already planning where to live at this time, she felt a little bit shocked and a little bit rushed, but everything ended up working out. Typically, classes have their own Facebook page, and we have a Class of 2023 Facebook page. So that's where you can basically connect with anyone in your class saying, oh, I need a roommate, or oh, who needs a roommate? If you are a transfer student, it takes a lot of flexibility, but things will always fall into place. And lastly, as for transitioning into Clemson, she said it was pretty smooth because she had her roommate to guide her throughout her classes. We also have this app called the My Clemson app, which basically gives you GPS directions on where you want to be on campus. So yeah, that's basically all I have for today. I hope you guys learned something from when I discussed how to transfer into Clemson, as well as sharing a personal experience one of my friends had as a transfer student. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and if you also are a transfer student, feel free to comment your experience on how you transferred into Clemson. Go Tigers!